Podmusic. Turning your favorite music into a podcast.
All right, so let's do a deep dive into this. Last Night We Let the Liquor Talk song.
Okay.
And the song's been like stuck in my head.
Hmm.
It's been bugging me.
Oh, yeah.
Like it seems like a typical breakup song on the surface, but
Yeah.
there's just something about it that feels like there's something more, like something deeper is going on.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it's definitely got like a raw emotional honesty to it that makes you want to like come back and keep listening and keep trying to figure it out.
Yeah, you kind of feel like you're eavesdropping on this really vulnerable moment between this couple,
Yeah.
and you're left wondering, like, is it just the alcohol talking, or
Yeah.
are these like real feelings that are coming out?
Well, I mean, even the title itself kind of sets that up so perfectly right.
Yeah.
Last night we let the liquor talk.
Yeah.
Like, are they just using the booze as a scapegoat?
Yeah.
Or is there like genuine heartbreak that's fueling these super intense emotions?
Okay. So before we go too far, let's set the scene a little bit for the listeners who maybe aren't familiar with this song.
Yeah.
We're dropped right into this aftermath of a wild night.
Mm.
This couple's in a rough spot, maybe post-argument or something.
Right.
And it's clear that things were said that can't be unsaid.
Absolutely. And the lyrics, like right away, just throw us right into that emotional deep end. That line, you told me that you wish I was somebody you never met.
Oh, yeah.
It's brutal. It's like, that's the kind of statement that just leaves you reeling.
Yeah.
You know, like, can you come back from that? Like,
Totally.
that level of rejection.
It's like a punch to the gut, right?
Absolutely.
If you hear that from your partner, like, how do you even recover from that?
Yeah. And then what's so fascinating is the singer's response.
Okay.
Immediately, they're like, no way it was our last night, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they're clinging to this denial.
Yeah.
They're refusing to accept that it's over, even though they've been hit with this, like,
Right.
soul-crushing statement.
It feels like a defense mechanism or something.
Right.
You know, like they're trying to convince themselves that it's not as bad as it seems.
Yeah.
So could this be like a form of self-deception?
Oh, it very well could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at it through something like the Kubler-Ross grief cycle, this denial phase is like a textbook reaction to loss, right?
Okay.
They're not ready to face the reality of this situation.
Wow. I never thought about it in terms of the stages of grief,
Yeah.
but that makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've got this heartbroken singer who's like desperately
Yeah.
trying to hold on, but the music itself almost seems to tell a different story.
You're so right. I mean, the music really does mirror that emotional turmoil
Yeah.
in the lyrics,
Yeah.
right? You get these stripped-back moments, like raw vocals.
Yeah.
It feels so intimate. It's like whispered confessions, almost.
Yeah.
And then it swells and builds in intensity,
Yeah.
reflecting like the back and forth,
Totally.
that push and pull of their emotions.
You're riding this emotional roller coaster, right?
Totally.
You're feeling this like hope and despair at the same time.
Yeah, and then there's all these vivid sensory details right in the lyrics.
Oh, yeah.
You got like the taste of the Jack Daniels.
Right.
You got the feel of the sheets. You got that image of taillights disappearing in the dust. Like those details, they pull you right in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They make it feel so real
Yeah.
and relatable. Especially that image of the taillights. Such a powerful symbol of goodbye,
Oh, yeah.
of things ending.
Totally.
And yet, even with that image, the song doesn't give us closure.
It doesn't, right.
Yeah.
You're left wondering,
Yeah.
is this goodbye for real? Or is this just another bump in the road?
Exactly. And that brings us right back to that central question that the title poses.
Right.
Is it just the liquor talking, or is there something more?
Yeah.
Like it's like the song is prompting us to consider the influence of alcohol on our emotions and actions. Right?
Yeah.
Does it reveal our true selves,
Yeah.
or does it just lead us astray?
It's a tricky question.
It is.
I mean, we've all had those nights
Oh, yeah.
where the alcohol loosens our inhibitions a little bit, and maybe we say things or do things that we wouldn't normally.
Yeah.
But does that mean those feelings weren't there all along? Were they just hidden beneath the surface?
It's a blurry line, isn't it?
It is.
And the song doesn't give us a clear answer.
Right.
It leaves us to grapple with that ambiguity, just like the characters are grappling with their own feelings.
Yeah. And then on top of all of that, you've got the conflicting advice from their friends.
Oh, yeah.
The singer's friends are all like, move on, you deserve better.
Right.
But their partner's friends are probably like, whatever, you know?
Yeah, totally dismissing it.
Dismissing the whole thing. So
Right.
it's like you've got all these...
This adds a whole other layer
Yeah.
of complexity, right?
Cool.
You got these outside voices adding to the confusion.
It makes you wonder, how much do our friends actually influence our perceptions of our relationships?
Totally.
Do they help us see clearly, or are they just reinforcing our own biases?
Exactly.
That's a good question.
It is a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like everybody's got an opinion, but who really knows
Right.
what's going on between two people except for them?
Exactly.
And it's interesting how the song highlights that difficulty of like navigating those external perspectives.
Yeah.
Especially when you're already feeling like vulnerable.
Totally. And how do you even know who to trust?
Yeah.
Like your own judgment's clouded by emotion. And then you've got your friends like pulling you in different directions. It's no wonder the singer is so confused.
Totally. And then just when you think the song is going to settle into this like heartbroken resignation, you know, it throws us another curveball.
Yeah.
That line, I wouldn't trade your kind of love for nothing else.
Oh my God.
Comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it just hits you.
It's like whiplash.
Right.
It goes from, you told me you wish you never met me, to I wouldn't trade your love for anything. Like, what is happening?
Right. It seems like a total contradiction.
Yeah.
But I think this is where we really start to see those deeper layers of self-deception at play. You know, the singer is acknowledging the pain, the messiness of this relationship.
Right.
But they're still clinging to that intense love.
Yeah.
That connection that they can't seem to let go of.
So maybe they're not in denial about the breakup itself,
Right.
but more about like the nature of their feelings. Like they're trying to convince themselves that this chaotic, tumultuous love is somehow worth it.
I think you're right. I mean, it speaks to the complexity of human emotions, right?
Yeah.
Like we can be drawn to people who are bad for us.
Yeah.
Even when we know it, like deep down, there's this magnetic pull that overrides logic and reason.
The heart wants what it wants.
It does.
Even if it's totally irrational.
Exactly. But this is also where I think the song gets
Yeah.
really interesting musically.
Yeah. What did you say?
Absolutely. There's this noticeable shift
Okay.
towards a more melancholy tone
Yeah.
as we get closer to the end.
Yeah.
And you can feel that resignation kind of creeping in.
Yeah.
Like maybe it really is time to let go.
Yeah. And you can hear it in the lyrics too.
Yeah.
I know you said this time you really weren't coming back again.
It's so vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's like an acceptance that it might be over for good.
And then boom, just when you think it's ending, on this note of like quiet heartbreak, we get hit with that final line.
Oh, yeah.
But baby, something's telling me this ain't over yet.
Talk about a gut punch.
Right.
It's like pulling us back from the edge of acceptance and throwing us right back into that turmoil.
It leaves you wondering, is this genuine hope? Or is this just like a last-ditch effort to cling to something that's already gone?
I think it's more that self-deception. Yeah. I remember that voice of denial.
Yeah.
It's back, and it is refusing to let go.
Yeah.
Even in the face of reality.
So it's like this song is a cautionary tale about the dangers of self-deception.
Especially in matters of the heart.
Especially in matters of the heart.
We can convince ourselves of almost anything if we want it bad enough.
And it makes you think about the role that alcohol plays in all of this.
Oh, yeah.
It's this constant presence throughout the song. It's this underlying influence on their emotions.
It's like, it's not just talking.
Right.
It's manipulating. It's distorting their perceptions.
So how much of their drama is genuine heartache?
Right.
And how much of it is fueled by this alcohol?
Yeah. It's a question we can all relate to.
Totally.
Especially when it comes to our own last nights.
Yeah, I think that's what makes this song so powerful. It's not afraid to show us.
Like the messiness of relationships.
The blurred lines between love and self-deception.
Yeah, and how we use substances to cope with these difficult emotions.
It's a reminder that heartbreak is rarely neat and tidy.
Yeah.
It's tangled and messy
Right.
and full of these like misunderstandings and choices that we often regret.
And sometimes facing ourselves is even harder than facing the person that we lost.
Absolutely.
This deep dive is really making me think about like my own experiences with heartbreak and how I tried to make sense of those feelings.
It's like the song is holding up a mirror and forcing us to confront those moments where maybe we weren't being totally honest with ourselves.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. But
it is.
that's the beauty of art.
Right. That is the beauty of art.
It challenges us.
It makes us squirm.
Makes us squirm a little bit.
A little bit.
And hopefully helps us grow.
And Last Night, We Let the Liquor Talk is more than just a song.
It's like an invitation to look inward.
Totally.
To examine our own patterns.
Yeah.
And to strive for like healthier ways of loving and losing.
This conversation has given me a lot to think about, like especially that idea of self-deception and how it can sabotage our relationships.
Totally.
It's a reminder that honesty is crucial, both with ourselves and with our partners.
Absolutely. And it's not just about being honest about our feelings.
Okay.
It's also about being honest about our needs and our expectations.
Yeah.
Like so much of the conflict in this song seems to stem from this lack of clear communication.
Yeah.
They're talking at each other, not to each other.
Right. They're so caught up in their own emotions that they're not really listening to what the other person is saying.
They're both speaking different languages.
Totally.
Even though they're using the same words.
And that's where alcohol can be so dangerous.
It can be.
Because instead of helping us communicate, it creates this wall of misunderstanding.
It's like the liquor's acting as a translator, but a really bad one.
A really bad one. Yeah. Yeah, it makes you wonder how many arguments, how many like last nights are fueled by this like miscommunication and these like alcohol-soaked emotions.
It's a sobering thought, isn't it?
It is.
And I think the song really challenges us to be more mindful, both in how we communicate and in what we're consuming, you know?
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that, like, clear and honest communication requires this level of self-awareness and vulnerability that can be tough to access when you're drinking.
So how do we avoid those messy alcohol-fueled last nights? Like, how do we take these insights and apply them to our own lives?
Well, I think it starts with, like, recognizing the patterns in our own lives, you know? Do we tend to rely on alcohol to express our emotions? Do we avoid those tough conversations when we're sober? Are we truly listening to our partners? Or are we just waiting for our turn to talk?
Man, those are some tough questions.
We are.
But they're important ones.
They are important.
It's about like taking responsibility for our communication style and recognizing the role that alcohol might be playing.
Absolutely.
And I guess if we see that alcohol's consistently leading to these like miscommunications or fights, it might be time to like reevaluate our relationship with it.
Yeah, maybe set some boundaries.
Okay.
Like limit how much you're drinking, or maybe choose to have those conversations when you're sober.
Yeah, just create a space where we can be honest.
Not only honest.
With ourselves and each other.
Because ultimately, honesty is the foundation.
It is.
Of any strong relationship.
And it's not just about being honest about how we feel. But being honest about what we need.
Yeah, our needs and expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we expect our partners to be mind readers.
Oh, totally.
And then when they don't meet these unspoken expectations, resentment builds.
I've been there.
It's so easy to fall into that trap.
Yeah.
But the truth is, communication takes effort.
It does.
We got to like say what we need.
Yeah.
Even when it feels awkward.
Totally.
It's about creating that culture of open communication where both partners feel safe to say what they think and feel.
Yeah, without judgment.
Without judgment, exactly.
And that takes time.
It does. It takes time and effort to build that kind of trust.
So Last Night, We Let the Liquor Talk. It's not just a breakup song. It's like a guide.
It's a roadmap.
To building better relationships.
I like that, a roadmap.
It's about recognizing those pitfalls of self-deception, the importance of honest communication, and the role that alcohol plays in all of it.
Absolutely.
Wow. This has been a really insightful conversation.
It has.
I've learned a lot.
Me too.
And I think our listeners will too. So thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
I always love chatting with you about this stuff.
Always fun to unpack these themes.
And to our listeners out there, we hope this deep dive has inspired you to think about your own relationships.
Your communication patterns.
Yeah, and maybe even your own last nights.
Right.
Remember honesty, vulnerability.
Yeah.
And a little bit of self-awareness can go a long way.
Absolutely.
In building those healthier, happier connections.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So until next time, keep diving deep.